Hello there. Now you might imagine that I might feel more comfortable out there in the woods somewhere with my binoculars looking for birds. But of course, like everyone else, I need to shop. I need the necessities of life. And the necessities of life, when it comes to us humans, even toilet tissue, have a relevance to the world that we live in, a world that we want to respect. You see, this velvet has to be produced from raw materials. And increasingly, these natural resources are something that we want to look after, to protect. Velvet. It's a very good example of how a product in everyday life can give you a bit of luxury. It's soft, and even we outdoor types appreciate that. It's a luxury toilet tissue, and it's made from a mixture of recycled and natural materials, essentially wood pulp, which originates, of course, from trees. But it's not just about luxury, because if you look what it says on the pack, it says that for every tree that Velvet uses, it replants 3 more. I'm here with Sally Barker, who's the Managing Director of SCA, the makers of Velvet, to find out all about this 3-tree promise. So Sally, where do you get the wood from for Velvet?
First of all, Chris, I need to tell you how Velvet is made.
These are softwood trees, like many owned and commercially managed in Sweden by our parent company SCA. All of the softwood trees used by Velvet are replaced with at least 3. But that's not unusual. Most responsible forestry operations will replace 3 for 1 when it comes to softwoods through replanting, natural regeneration and seeding. Velvet also uses fibres from hardwood trees. For hardwoods, most responsible commercial forests replace each tree harvested with 1 new sapling or by coppicing. And this is the real point of difference for Velvet. We not only have contracts with our suppliers to plant a new tree to replace any hardwood tree used, we go a step further and plant 2 additional new trees. So for every hardwood tree used, 3 are planted in total. That means we've planted an amazing number. In fact, over 3 million trees.
Where are the trees though, Sally? I mean, they're not here, are they, in this forest particularly?
No, they're not. The extra trees that we've planted are over in Brazil, where we're working with a company called Amata, and they're replacing the extra 2 trees for Velvet.
To find out more about this project, I'm off on a trip to the state of Pará in northern Brazil to see where Velvet has been planting its trees. And to make sure we don't add to the planet's problems, we've offset all of our travel to Brazil. This is Belém city, the capital of the state of Pará in northern Brazil, and this really is the gateway to the Amazon. The Atlantic Ocean is just 100 kilometers down there, but behind me you can see the river that leads into the Amazon. Right here, I feel as if I'm on the brink of something really magnificent. That rainforest which I've been reading about since I was a kid. I'm going to be using this as a base to journey out to some of the Amata farms to find out more about their reforestation program.
Over the Amazon, and it's a unique opportunity to look down on this important and fabulous habitat. But it's leaving me with 2 thoughts, one good and one bad. The good one is that there are still huge tracts of this rainforest snaking away unspoiled towards the horizons. But sadly, badly, in amongst them are equally large areas which have been totally deforested. They've been overgrazed and now they're very badly eroded. Looking down from up here, it's clear that a massive amount of work needs to be done down there to get this place back in shape.
this tree. What an absolute beauty. But then this is a fantastic place. You see, this is Brazilian tropical forest, one of the most famous ecosystems anywhere on the planet. It's been described as the lungs of the world, and appropriately so, because this place takes on vast quantities of carbon dioxide and converts it to oxygen, the oxygen that our planet needs to survive. It's so big that it even influences the global temperature, the weather and the climate. But they are under threat. It's been reported that between the years of 2000 and 2010, an area the size of Greece has been lost to deforestation. There are all sorts of reasons for this, but the main ones are illegal logging operations to get cheap timber and clearing areas of forest for agriculture. And it only lasts for a few years, and then the soil becomes so infertile it's virtually useless. It's a disaster. It's a massive problem. So how on earth can velvet be part of a real solution? I'm here in Castanal, in the state of Pará in the northeast of Brazil. And I've come here because I want to tell you a story. And it's a story that I think is both fascinating and important. You see, it's about an everyday company, Velvet, that through their desire to produce luxury tissue also want to do something really positive for the environment by teaching people to appreciate these things, trees. And what they've been doing here is pioneering the replanting of native trees like this in areas like this one here, which have been cleared of the natural forest principally for ranching. So, to get some results, they've teamed up with a company called Amata, and at the moment Amata are the leading company in Brazil when it comes to sustainable forestry. Amata are a company who are backed by the Brazilian government, and they believe that they can manage both natural and planted forests without ever compromising their practices when it comes to the environmental, social and economic ideas that they want to make work here. And to make it work, well, it's going to take some time. We're talking about planting millions of trees here. And of course, it's not just about trees, because this project has a human angle too. The people here work for Amata. In short, Amata is part of their community. Roberto.
Chris. Welcome to the Cauã farm.
Thank you, thank you. I'm here with Roberto Vark, one of the founders of Amata. Now, Roberto, how did the relationship with Velvet come about?
Velvet was looking for a company that would plant trees in a good way, on a way that would be good for the planet in a sustainable way.
But let's make no bones about it. These trees that you've planted here and are already doing very well, they will at some stage in the future be cut down as timber, won't they?
Yes, that is the idea, is to create an economy of the forest so the timber can be used for furniture, for plywood, for many different purposes, and the people will replant the forest instead of cutting down the tropical rainforest.
And of course, clear felling, tropical rainforest, is about as disastrous as you can get for many reasons, not just environmental, but social and economical too.
Yes, so the idea is really to recreate a system where you can bring the economy, the social and environmental component together, also supplying the market with a source of timber that is sustainable.
And is this a new idea? It's such a simple one that it's difficult to believe that no one's tried this here in Brazil before.
Yeah, this is a pioneer project using native trees for this purpose, and that's why we collaborate with different universities and NGOs and with the SCA group to develop this concept and probably spread out this concept all over Brazil.
Well, it sounds simple. Many great ideas are simple, and many great ideas need very small beginnings. And of course, the small beginning for this thing is a seed. So people go out into the extant tropical rainforest, collect the seeds, and then the story moves on from there. How do you do? How do you do?
He's willing to show you the nursery.
Great, that's what we've come to see.
Mexia com mandioca dentro desses terrenos aqui. Aí foi depois, eles vieram. Aí formamos esse projeto aqui tá funcionando bem, graças a Deus.
Are you happier now growing these seeds for Amata than you were when you were trying to grow manioc here and it wasn't working well?
Para mim melhorou bastante, porque é como eu acabei de falar, que eu só faço produzir ela aqui, aí eu tirei a nota, preparei ela aqui, vou lá, tiro a nota fiscal, entreguei para eles, pronto, vai embora, eu não tenho mais compromisso com nada. Aí por isso eu me sinto mais feliz, graças a Deus.
And all of these trees will be taken to the farm to be planted, yeah?
Para ser plantado na fazenda. Eu faço elas e também nos tubletezinhos. Aí a gente aguarda, então tem que aguardar direto. Todo tempo, aguando. Principalmente quando é na época do verão, né? Aí eles vieram, se eu quiser fazer 10, 20, 30, a quantia de muda que fizer, ela fica com tudo.
And what about your family? You have sons and grandchildren too. Do you think that one day they might be working here in the forest too?
Eu quero que eles continuem. Eu já tenho um neto que já trabalha comigo. Tem um neto que trabalha comigo aqui. De parceria comigo já, direto. Me ajuda a carregar, nós limpar tudo. É, só a família. Aquela é nora, esse aqui é filho, esse aqui é cunhado, esse aqui é neta. E a minha esposa é aquela ali. E pronto.
Chico, when you grow the seedlings here and they're taken out and planted in the forest, does that make you feel good? Does it make it feel like you're part of that forest?
O que nós estamos sofrendo é devido às florestas, estão todas desmatadas, né? Aí, olha, ali dentro desse mato está cheio de planta que eu estou plantando. Porque eu gosto de ver floresta. Tudo uma floresta é muito linda, né? Aqui embaixo tem uma área que não está desmatada. O centro lá é meio que você está encostado numa geladeira. Bem feiazinha a mata. Então eu gosto da floresta por isso. Quase todos que moram aqui, tudo eles gostam, né? Então eu acho que também deve fazer a mesma parte que eu faço, né? De gostar das partes da floresta. E adoro muito. Que tudo nós temos aqui, tudo é só liberdade, né? Que eu acho que boa coisa cabe ter só liberdade na mão, né? Também eu crio porque eles vivem soltos. Estão com toda a liberdade deles. Se fosse para viver preso...
Because so many trees are needed, they're also grown in larger commercial businesses. Look at these beauties. These are paprika seeds, and they've been collected in tropical forest all over Brazil by hand. These are native seeds, and they've then been brought here to the Daco nursery in Paragominas. It's a small family-run nursery that does things on a very large scale, and they perfected the art of growing these trees. Basically, they put one seed in each of these plastic tubes, and with just a bit of fertilising and irrigation, after just 4 days, they've already germinated, and after 8 days, they're like this, with their first proper set of leaves. Remarkably, after just a month, we've got these very vigorous young plants here. Now, when you think about it, if you're trying to put back a rainforest, you can't grow these sorts of things in small back garden conservatories. You've got to do things on a vast scale, and they certainly do here. Every year they produce millions of these young plants ready to go back in the ground, and that's what they're going to do next. After just a month, they're taken out of their plastic tubes, bound up like this for ease of transportation, and then they're ready to go into the ground out on the farms. And that's the next stage in this remarkable story. Roberto, before we get started on this monumental task, can you tell me how many trees you're going to put in here?
We're gonna put here 1.5 million trees.
1.5 million
Yeah.
trees?
Yeah.
Well, we're all going to be very busy then.
Oh yeah, sure.
It's a huge amount,
Yeah.
a huge amount. What happens though if any of them perish? Because obviously they're being planted amongst this fiercely competitive grass here.
So we watch them very closely, and if some of the trees that did not survive, we replant it.
We plant individual trees?
Individual trees,
So
yes.
you end up with totally complete lines,
Yes,
as
yes,
it were.
that's the concept.
And what sort of area are we talking here? Because to me it looks vast.
Yeah, this farm is about 1,200 hectares, and we have another 1,500 hectares in other farms. But that's only the planted area. We still have all the other part of the farms that will be permanently protected.
Obviously, to get that many trees in the ground, you need plenty of labour. We can see some behind us.
Yes, so that is the social component of the project. So it's employment, it's training, but another very important aspect is that we are training the people and teaching the people that instead of cutting down the tropical forest, they can plant trees and with the plantation have the timber they need.
And how many people are we talking about?
On this farm we are talking about 50 people right now.
But over the course of all of your farms, you're talking hundreds.
Yes, of course, yes.
So another significant benefit.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the trees themselves? I mean, Valbert has provided the money. Does Valbert own these trees?
The trees are owned by Amata. So we plant the trees, we maintain the trees, and then we harvest the trees and we replant.
And when it comes to harvesting, what sort of timescales are we talking about?
It will be from 6 to 40 years, depending on the species, depending on the site. We have different harvesting cycles.
That's quick, between 6 and 40. In the UK, we're looking at terms of 60 to 100 years.
Yeah.
On account of the blazing hot sun, we've taken a break from tree planting, which is giving me an opportunity to catch up with some of the workers here and see what they think of the project.
Sou o Simeão, sou ajudante florestal e a gente está aqui somando também com a empresa, né, com a Amata, que chegou já. Trabalhar aqui foi muito importante para mim, certo? Foi tanto para mim como para minha família e várias outras famílias também que estavam aí necessitadas também, precisando de uma oportunidade de trabalho. Então, como a empresa comprou a fazenda aí a gente veio completando com mais gente, foi somando. E muita gente que estava aí precisando, né, tem de onde tirar agora o sustento para a família, né, graças à empresa Amata.
Professionals at work. Oh, it's beautifully done. I'm giving that a 5.6. That's pretty good. Okay, shall I try? Let me have a test go with your supervision. It's good. Gets the thumbs up. Well, there's only another 1,4,999,999 to go, Roberto. That's true. So I suppose we better get moving. Roberto, in the UK we have a habitat called wood pasture where people have kept cattle under trees for hundreds of years, but it's not something I expected to see here in Brazil, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, this is new. This is a pioneer project. We believe that we can combine forestry with cattle and also with agriculture. It's a nice combination of a food-producing farm with fiber farm, so, and also restoring the forest in the region.
What about damage to the trees? These ones seem to be going very well here, but presumably you couldn't put the cattle in with smaller trees.
No, definitely. After 1 year you should be careful not to combining the forestry with cattle, but after that it's fine.
A tremendous amount of work's been done here. You've planted millions of trees on this one site. Have any of them been harvested for timber yet?
Not yet. It will be another few years before they start being harvested, and we'll never have a clear-cut area. It's always a combination of ages of different species. So the idea is that there will be always trees in the ground here.
So this will always have trees, but maybe different species and of different ages.
Yeah, that's the restoration of the dynamic of the forest.
Which is a more natural situation,
absolutely,
of course.
Absolutely, and also very important for the biodiversity.
Now, this is a very exciting, pioneering project. You're trying lots of new ideas here. What's been the response from other environmental agencies?
Very good so far. Not only the environmental agents, but also, say, the social organizations and NGOs. So it's completely aligned with this new Green Deal and trying to bring this combination of social, economic and environmental component.
So if it works, the plan might be to spin projects like this over a much wider area of Brazil then?
Absolutely, that's the idea. I think one of the important part of this project is to, let's say, establish a new model of using the land, combining forests with cattle and with other kinds of environmental service. And if we can really spread out that concept into the degraded land of this part of Brazil, it will be great.
Well, I certainly hope it works.
Yeah.
Oi,
So Chris.
Hola.
Tiago.
Tiago, how do you feel about being a forest cowboy? We imagine them galloping on their horses across, great ranges of grassland, but now you're beneath the trees.
Tem uma música que diz que sou desse chão onde o rei é peão com o laço na mão, ou seja, me sinto um rei, como Deus, como rei da floresta.
I'm glad you're feeling so good, but the big question is, what about your cattle? How are they feeling living beneath the trees?
Os animais, eles estão confortáveis, por quê? Porque eles têm pastagem e têm sombra, né? Ao juntar essas duas, sombra e alimentação, você tem um ganho de peso maior nos animais. Os animais te rendem. Isso também é um custo a menos para o pequeno produtor, no caso, no que eu me incluo, né? E o projeto da Amata, ele vem somar, não só para mim, mas como para os outros pequenos produtores.
Well, I hope that it continues to be prosperous, and what I really hope is that when your children are riding the descendants of this horse that in a giant forest, that it still be working.
Seria muito gratificante. Eu ainda não tenho filhos, mas eu espero que, se Deus me conceder, eles serão muito bem-vindos, né? Então, assim como eu herdei esse gosto do meu pai, que herdou do pai dele e que herdou do pai dele, e possa também transmitir para os meus filhos e eles possam sentir um rei em cima de um cavalo. E eu poderei dizer a eles, né, que eu participei de um projeto que estava beneficiando o planeta. Eu pensei neles.
Good luck. Good luck. These stunning birds are called Pepita del Campo. They're actually relatives of the starling. A bit better looking, some of you might argue. But they're a species that's beginning to flourish here again because the forest is growing all around this camp. But of course, as soon as you get a population of birds like this arrive, then you can get the predators that eat these birds too. And in this way, we start to rebuild entire food chains, and that's what it's all about. Look at this plant. It's got a remarkable adaptation to protect itself from potential herbivores that would graze it. If I just gently stroke the leaves of this, they all collapse like this, making each of the little leaflets here less accessible to anything that would want to nibble it. And of course, they only stay closed for about 10-15 minutes. They're always thirsty for sunshine, so it will then reopen to start photosynthesizing again, getting that energy from the sun. So Roberto, not all of the trees here on the farm will at some stage be cut down?
No, there will be always at least 50% of the farm under permanent protection. The Brazilian law says that at least 50% must remain as permanent protection area. So even if the law changes, the agreement we have with Velvet stands that we need to keep that area as a permanent protection area.
So even if the Brazilian law changes, because of the agreement with Velvet, 50% of the trees are going to be looked after, particularly these along the waterways, which are very valuable. How many trees does that amount to on all of the Amata farms?
So far we are talking about 15 million.
15 million?
15 million, but every year we add more.
Roberto, tell me a bit about the Forest Stewardship Council, the FSC as we know it.
Well, all of our farms are FSC certified. That's the case of Cauã Farms and the Taquaruçu and Flamboyant Farms, and that is the case of Soberana Farm, which is under certification nowadays.
And it's a body that sets standards, isn't it, really, and guidelines?
Yeah, the idea is that the standards will be a balance on social, environmental and economic purpose, trying to bring this integration of all those components into the forestry operation.
And as I understand it, it's very much about sustainable forest, isn't it?
Yeah, and one of the important points on sustainability is to integrate the plantations with the preservation of natural forests. So that's one of the values of FSCs, to bring the whole integration of the environmental services into one operation.
And I see the logo, FSC approved as it were, in the UK. Presumably it's a European pan-global organisation.
Oh yes, yes, it's all over the world, more than 80 countries and more than 1,000 certificates all over the planet, yes.
I'm back here in Belém City and I've come to meet Dr. Marcos André Piedade from the Federal University here. He's been one of the scientific advisors for this Velvet Amata initiative. How excited are you and how optimistic are you that this Velvet Amata initiative will work?
Eu creio que experiências como essa, por exemplo, da Amata, são extremamente importantes, em diversos aspectos. Um deles é pelo ponto de vista de solo, que é a minha área especificamente, parte de fertilidade do solo. Nossa região, a maioria são solos com uma qualidade química muito baixa. O uso do solo com reflorestamento é adequado também por esse aspecto, porque você protege mais o solo. E você protegendo mais o solo, você, por exemplo, evita danos no sistema hidrológico. Ou seja, você evita a contaminação do lençol freático, você evita a contaminação dos igarapés, de rios, né, lagos. Então, desse ponto de vista, o reflorestamento é interessante.
Sally, the Amata project is remarkable. I mean, it's really, really amazing, very, very impressive. What made you want to get involved?
I could give you a lot of reasons, but it simply boils down to the fact that we wanted to make a real difference with velvet.
The thing is, though, as we all know, trees are very slow to grow. So how long do you plan to stay involved with this project?
We've been involved in this project for a number of years and we've signed up for another decade, so we really are in this for the long haul.
But how do you work out how many trees to plant?
We've done a lot of research with our suppliers looking at how many trees are used, and once we knew that, then it was simple. We could calculate how many trees we need to plant in Brazil.
One luxury brand of toilet tissue sitting on a shelf in a supermarket with one simple promise. Who'd have thought it could lead to the other side of the world, to an initiative designed to protect one of the world's most important natural resources, one of the most famous ecosystems of all, the mighty Amazon rainforest. Superb.